If you can integrate this into what you're already knowing, it will move you swiftly into a new place. There's always been energy technology. In other words, not so long ago, you were excited about steam and coal and oil. In other words, you are always finding a leading edge way to utilize resources. And the resources continue to expand exponentially in order to satisfy you. So you will never run out of resources, and you will never run out of energy, because energy is about thought vibration, and as long as you exist as thinkers, there will always be that, and it is always renewable. But in the physical manifestation, which is the way you're wanting to direct this conversation, the thing that keeps individuals or larger groups of collective consciousness from experiencing a faster and fuller benefit from energy that already exists in the vortex is the pushing against the status quo. In other words, it's the demonizing, the fossil fuel burning that is the biggest hindrance to the discovery of the new renewable energy. In other words, anytime you wage battle against what is, you hold yourself out of the vortex, and you're not one of those inspired to the new ideas. If any of you who are leaning in those directions could just hear us when we say, if you could give up on your need to convince one other, to convince the government or to convince agencies, if you could just let go of your need to convince the others, you would find the technology in the vortex, and it would be so vivid and doable that they could not ignore you. But what happens is, so almost every step along the way, you are looking back to see how you can convince them of something that they have so many axes to grind. There are so many reasons. There are lots of reasons that people are holding back. Part of it is ignorance. Part of it is they benefit more with it as it is. Part of it is they don't want to rock the boat in any significant way. Part of it is fear of the unknown. In other words, there is a lot of resistance about that. But if you could leave that out of the equation and just accept that you can't control it and don't need to, and you could just bounce into this place that is already there and get into the vortex where you can see clearly what is there. The conversation is the same about scientists who want to reach into new frontiers, but don't let themselves do it because they're so busy examining the details of the now reality. And you just can't look back and forward at the same time. And as you are examining the details of the current reality, which is full of wanted and unwanted, you water down your vibration, and it keeps you from being a match to what's in the vortex. So we'll say it in one more clear way. So as an individual, or as a collective consciousness, or as generations of collective consciousness, you have launched into the vortex of creation a vivid vibrational escrow. Talk about renewable energy. In other words, if you could see it, it would thrill you, and it would give you ease and sense of well-being and understanding that there is always another idea, and it is readily available to you. So here's this vortex with all of this wonderful new technology in it. And here, let's say you are, and let's call you an entrepreneur or a scientist or someone who wants to be in on the development of this new technology. And there it all is, and really all you have to do is pet your cat and go in the vortex, have a massage and go in the vortex, have something good to eat and go in the vortex, see a good movie and go in the vortex, meditate and go in the vortex. In other words, all you got to do is get in the vortex. And with what you want and who you are, revelation after revelation after revelation would come to you. But so many people who could just go in the vortex and receive the clarity that's in there waiting for them, instead they examine what's going on and try to get those people to understand what's going on over here. And in their effort to get those people to understand what's going on over here, they have to come out of the vortex because those people aren't in the vortex. So they come out of the vortex to explain to them, and then they lose their connection. In other words, that's why every leading edge creator has been labeled by the majority as extremely weird. Because you have to hold yourself apart from the normal way of thinking, otherwise you don't have access to that which is new. Not giving a rip what anybody else thinks, and an ambition for understanding that you don't have to build comprehensive bridges between where you are to this new vortex. You just have to shine a light on what's over there, and it will manifest, and its reality will convince them. If this time-space reality has the wherewithal to inspire the idea within you, this time-space reality has the wherewithal to deliver the goods. One of the things that Jerry and Esther enjoy the most, in other words, they are enjoying their travel, but what they really enjoy is this gathering. This gathering is the most exhilarating thing for them and for us, because this is where you bring your conscious physical awareness and you converge with your broader perspective and literally take thought beyond that which it has been before. And so to Jerry and Esther, often it feels like the same group moves from city to city, because many of you are up to speed. Many of you are listening to the subscriptions. In other words, Esther was exhilarated, nearly dancing down the hallway just now, because she can't wait to go back and listen to some things. Jerry's notes are full of first. And Esther can hardly wait to go back and listen, because even though it may feel a little slow going, to nudge into places where you have not been before is big movement, you see. And so then you nudge into those places, and then by virtue of your repetition of thought around them, you make them the normal thought. Big gains are being made today. That's what you're experiencing in technology and in energy movement in general. In other words, the more you are able to step back and accept that this is a vibrational world, and the analogy that you were offering, we really think it's worth repeating, that the mechanical world was a wonderful world, but the digital world, you're using less energy and you're getting more done with it. The electronic world is far different from the mechanical world. And this electronic world that you're beginning to understand through your internets and through your computer chips, this technology that you are accepting as normal is so much closer to the vibrational reality that we are talking about. It's not far to move into this understanding that everything that exists, that you see as this knock-on-wood physical world around you, was pre-paved through the vibration of thought. And if you can just, even as a result of the conversations that we've had here today, if you can settle into the knowledge that if it became a thought, it has already become a reality. And as you accept it as a vibrational reality, then the step to the manifestational reality is the easiest step of all. The most difficult steps have all been taken. In other words, the contrast that made you ask was a much more difficult step. And the answering of it and the combining with law of attraction's response to it, that was an easy step. And the easiest step of all is the one still to be made, where you release your doubt and allow your belief. That's the easiest step at all. But what it requires is accepting that you are a vibrational being, accepting that this vibrational reality, that this vortex of creation exists, accepting that your emotions are real, accepting that your emotions are your indicator of your proximity to this vibrational reality, and a quest like nothing that you've ever felt before to be one who seeks the best feeling that you can find. In other words, if you let your emotions guide you, they will guide you right in to the answers, right in to the technology, right in to the manifestations that you are looking for. And the distance between where you are and where they are is the blink of an eye, really. It's just the shift of a vibration. So close. Do you know you're vibrational?
Yes.
And do you know it because you're emotional? Yes. I know that I'm vibrational because I am emotional. Because your emotions are your vibrational indicators, yes?
Yes.
Do you know you're emotional? Are you aware of your emotions?
Yes.
Are they indicators of vibration?
Yes.
We think we're done. Well, this has been a wonderful day of moving into new places. So let's recap together for just a moment. As you sit here in your physical body, do you claim your physicality more right now or your non-physical beingness? Which feels more like you? And yet here you are in these bodies, clumps sitting individually, flesh, blood, and bone, manifested, having become. Others can see you and hear you and smell you. They can feel you. They can taste you. In other words, with their physical senses, they can observe you. They can catalog you and pigeonhole you. They can define you. They can discover you. They can label you. They can identify you. They can sort of take you in and sum you up and come to a conclusion about you. But can anyone who is not you know you? So the non-physical you, the vibrational you, can observe you in your physical body and doesn't smell you and doesn't see you and doesn't hear you and doesn't taste you and doesn't touch you. But the non-physical you, as it observes the physical you, knows you vibrationally, knows who you were prior to coming into this physical body, knows unequivocally the worthiness and the truth and the power and the love and the meaning of that which you were. But even more than that, that source energy, as it perceives you, knows everything that all that you have lived has caused you to become. And how does that non-physical you know you so completely? It is because it is you so completely. The non-physical you is all that you have become, leaving out discouragement, unworthiness, leaving out uncertainty, insecurity. The non-physical you is the synthesized version of all that you have ever been, and is the culmination of the best that life has helped you to garner. And the non-physical you stands in non-physical beingness, radiating the vibrational signal that is equal to all that you have become incessantly, all day, all night, eternally. And you have emotional feedback or response to that non-physical state of you. That's what your emotions are. In your moment of love, you are up to speed with the fullness of you. In your moment of hate, you're not. In your moment of frisky, you're up to speed. In your moment of love and appreciation and joy and confidence and worthiness, in your moment of adoration of someone, in your moment of compliment, in your moment of expression of the satisfaction of life, you are up to speed with who you are. But in your complaint and in your worry, you are not. If you can accept, because we know it so well, the perfection and expansion and worthiness and love that really is who you are, and you will decide today that your dominant intent is to tune to the full frequency of who you are, to keep messing with the dial and finding the new thought, to do another focus wheel, to lie in your bed and bask a little more determined, to speak